Today, Malcolm Cheung, Vice President of Long-Term Care Product and Risk Management at Prudential, joins me for a discussion about one of 5 key themes that emerged from the results of this year's survey. Malcolm, I'd like to ask you a few questions about the report titled The Latest on Long-Term Care Insurance. What is long-term care insurance?
Well, by definition, long-term care insurance provides financial protection for those individuals who may need someone else's help to perform some of the basic activities of daily living. And these include eating, bathing, dressing, getting in and out of bed. The need for these services and the need for this assistance can be due to a number of different reasons. It could be due to a chronic illness, a disability, an accident, or cognitive impairment, such as Alzheimer's disease. Long-term care insurance helps pay for varying levels of care in various settings, including the home, an adult daycare center, an assisted living facility, or even in a nursing home. Long-term care insurance can be purchased either individually or on a group basis. On an individual basis, you work with a financial planner or an insurance agent. And on a group basis, you can buy it as part of your employer's group benefits program. Long-term care insurance covers care that typically really is not covered by private health insurance or by Medicare.
So why is it important for people, not just older folks, but people of different age groups, to start looking at long-term care?
Well, as the boomers continue to age, they're starting to think about life after age 60. They're coming to grips with living longer, lifestyle choices, finances in retirement, and that includes potential long-term care expenses. Despite that, our survey finds that a relatively small number of people really understand the value or the benefits provided by long-term care insurance. Only about a quarter of surveyed employees actually plan to use insurance to pay for future long-term care expenses, and significantly less than 10% of surveyed employees have actually purchased long-term care insurance.
So many people are caring for elderly relatives today. Does that help to shift the focus onto the cost for long-term care and what long-term care insurance might provide?
Yes, it does. The costs associated with an unexpected illness when it strikes can be a major impediment to retirement security. Prudential's long-term care cost survey indicates that the cost of long-term care is very high. On average, a year in a nursing home costs in excess of $75,000, and even home health care costs $20 an hour or more for home health aid. It's not surprising, then, that people who have prior caregiving experience actually are more worried about financing future long-term care needs and place some greater value on group benefits like long-term care insurance because they've seen firsthand the impact that inadequate insurance can have in terms of quickly draining financial resources and placing a very significant emotional burden on a family.
Now, Americans seem to recognize the value of each dollar spent on insurance, whether it's through the workplace or individually. Do they understand the value of long-term care insurance?
Well, I think there's a very significant education gap when it comes to long-term care insurance. Despite the caregiving experience that many people have, despite their concern about financing future long-term care needs, 3 in 10 surveyed employees actually indicated that they had no plans for financing future LTC expenses, or that they didn't think they would need long-term care at all. And unfortunately, this education gap is bigger for women. Women are more likely to be caregivers. Women are more likely, frankly, to need long-term care services ultimately because they generally live longer than men. Despite that, women are more likely to think that they're not going to need long-term care services, and they're less likely to actually have a plan for financing these expenses in the future.
So when looking at long-term care policies, what types of plan options should people consider?
Well, the first choice that an individual needs to make when buying a long-term care insurance policy is what daily benefit maximum should be purchased. And they should take into account the level of long-term care costs in the geographic area that they expect to be receiving care in. They should also take into account the extent to which they may want to self-fund some of the cost of long-term care services. They also need to decide on what lifetime maximum benefit to select. And that should be consistent with the length of time that they would like their policy benefits to last, as well as the total dollar amount of benefits they think they'd like to receive over their lifetime. It's also important to consider inflation options that might be available to them. These inflation options help the long-term care insurance policy maintain its value over time as long-term care expenses increase with inflation. And this is particularly important for individuals who are relatively young when they purchase long-term care insurance, under age 55 or 60. And finally, they need to balance all of their plan design choices with the amount of premium that they're comfortable and affordable in paying.
Thank you, Malcolm. That concludes our discussion. For more information, you can access the full series and report on Prudential's website.